All right, so today we're going to dive into a really fascinating, almost paradoxical idea. It's about a search that doesn't end when you find the answer. It ends when the problem itself just vanishes.
It starts with this simple, really definitive statement. At some point, the search ends. I mean, that's a promise of conclusion we're all looking for, right? But it's the how. That's what makes this whole thing so compelling.
And here's the twist. It's not because you finally find the answer. This isn't about that big aha moment, that feeling when the last puzzle piece clicks into place. No. This totally flips our whole idea of what it even means to resolve something.
Just imagine that for a second. That constant nagging question that's been driving you, it just dissolves. It's not that you answered it. It's that it becomes completely irrelevant. The need that was fueling the whole search is just gone.
So yeah, that's what this whole explainer's really about. We're going to explore what's left over, what remains when you finally stop trying to fix anything.
Okay, so to really get into this, we first have to kind of rethink the whole idea of an inner journey. I mean, we're all sort of conditioned to think of it as progress, right? Like we're moving towards some kind of destination.
So look at this. On one side, you have our usual way of talking about this stuff: progress, advancement, arrival. But the view we're exploring here, it's totally different. It's not progress, it's that something stopped. It's not about adding anything new. It's that nothing was added. It's not arriving somewhere. It's that nothing was actually achieved. It's a complete reframing. This really hits the nail on the head. There's no victory lap. You didn't gain some new superpower. It's more like the engine that was constantly running, the engine of striving and searching, just shut off.
So, okay, if the striving stops, what's left? You might think, oh, it must be this perfect state of peace or calm. But that brings us to a really crucial point: the trap of trying to maintain that feeling.
I mean, have you ever done this? You find a moment of real calm. Maybe you're meditating or just out for a walk. And then the thought pops in. Oh, this is nice. I have to hold on to this feeling. What happens the second you do that? Instantly there's tension, right? The very effort to grasp it ruins it.
And that's why this thing we're talking about, it's not some fragile state you have to protect. It's not a calm you have to preserve. And it's definitely not some deep insight you have to constantly remember. Because here's the problem. The second you try to maintain a state, you've just created a new problem. It automatically implies there's something to lose, that you could fail. And boom, just like that, the struggle is back. Which leads us to the next big idea. This whole thing blows up our normal concept of a before and after.
You know how we often think of personal growth as getting back to some better version of ourselves? Like returning to a time before things got all messy and complicated? Well, this perspective says that whole idea is a misunderstanding.
Because here's the really profound part. The whole reason we start searching in the first place is this feeling that something is broken, something is missing, that we need to recover something. This view says that premise was flawed from the very beginning. Nothing was ever truly lost.
Okay, so if you're not striving, you're not trying to maintain some special state, and you're not trying to return to anything, then what does everyday life even look like? Is it all just bliss and rainbows? Well, no, not exactly. It's actually something way more ordinary, and maybe way more beautiful.
Your mind doesn't just go blank. Thinking still happens, Plans, ideas, random thoughts, they all still show up. And emotions, they still move. You're not going to become some kind of robot. Joy, sadness, frustration, all of it is still part of the experience. And of course, decisions still need to be made. You still have to navigate life, work, family, what's for dinner tonight. All that practical stuff continues.
So what's the key difference? The urgency is gone. That's the absolute heart of it. All that normal human stuff is still there, but it's not loaded with this sense of personal crisis anymore. Life doesn't become perfect. It just becomes workable. The fight is over.
Which brings us to our conclusion, which is kind of a funny thing to say, because it's sort of an unresolved conclusion. It's not an ending in the way we usually think of one. So let's just put it all together. What's left is really defined by what's missing. There's an absence of something to fix. There's an absence of some special state to maintain. And there's an absence of a big journey to complete.
It's a subtle point, but it's a huge one. This isn't an ending. It's the absence of continuation. The story doesn't get a big finale. The story itself, the story of the search, just stops being written. There are no more pages to turn because the book is done.
And this is where our source material leaves us, with this just beautiful final thought. It's like the end of a TV show season.
It ends not on a cliffhanger, but because there's nothing left unresolved. The central conflict just isn't there anymore.
And so that's the question we're left with. It's not something you need to figure out, but maybe it's just something to ponder. What actually remains when nothing remains unresolved?